Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today's video is going to be talking about Warlock Feedback, I guess updating it more from a numerical tuning and interaction POV now that we're getting into the later stages of beta, which is crazy to say, but Warcraft is out in like 5.5 weeks. It's, I guess, 6 weeks, but it's insane. Doesn't feel like it's happening at all. Pre-patch coming out in 10 days. We're going to have videos coming out for like pre-patch spec guides and all that in the channel, so if you're looking for that, check back in a few days and all that stuff. But today we're hitting on beta feedback, tuning-wise, numerical stuff, all that for Destro, Demo, and Aff, with a bit more focus on hero talents, interactions, and, well, so on and so forth. A couple things we get too far in the video. Number one, it's on the screen here somewhere. Over there, I think. Over there. There it is. I talked about it last video as well. We have made the finals of the MMO Awards voting, which is very, very cool. You guys had to nominate me for it in the first place, which y'all did, and it is insane. Thank y'all so much for the nomination in the first place. We're in the final stages of it now. If you'd like to vote in that for the final 6 nominations, MMOawards.com. I'll put a link to it down below if I remember. I believe voting ends August 5th, which is in like, I guess 3 weeks, give or take. If you voted initially like a few weeks ago, you can vote again now for the final 6, just heads up. And number 2, if you guys really access the Warlock spreadsheet, the Warlock Beta 1, Worth, and all that kind of stuff, the Tier 3 Failure Guard rank on Patreon higher doesn't get early access to that. If you want to look at support on Patreon in general, whatever, link up here, as well as down below in the description. And Week Wars add-ons see in this video. Twitch and Discord links also down below if you want them. All that being said, and all that out of the way, let's get into the feedback. Okay, so I should have said flashbang warning. I'm sorry, it's a little bright here. This is the feedback document that we've been working on over the course of beta. I'm going to skim through here and just sort of highlight what's changed, what hasn't changed, so on and so forth, and then build upon this. Now, I haven't written in my points of feedback in text here yet. I'm probably going to do it tomorrow because it's 4 in the morning. I want to go to bed. I'm probably going to post it on the forums this weekend. Well, I guess today, whenever you're watching this video, at some point in the near future within 48 hours before the week begins. We're getting close to, I would assume, probably release candidate and all that stuff for beta. So I want to hit on the class tree here first. Now we've hit on it a lot. I'm going to sort of just skim over this briefly. Nothing's really changed here as far as like pathing is concerned, and I think it's even more of a concern this season with certain affixes where I want extra forms of CC. Like I want Shadow Fury, but I also want Dark Fury. I'm going to play Mortal Coil or Howl of Terror, but I also want some defensive at times. I want to have, you know, Swift Artifice for my faster reses. I want to have other points of utility like Amplified Curse, even like Fiendish Stride. Well, probably not, it's pretty bad, but with there being so many 2.0s in Fel Armor, Demon Skin, Sayara Techniques, Sakrathara's Guile, Fel Synergy, Soul Link, Demonic Resilience, Resolute Barrier, and awkward pathing through certain abilities here as well, it makes it really hard to get that flexibility. Previously, I just pull a point out of Fiendish Stride and just play Dark Fury here, but now I have to pull a point out of something like, I'm not even sure where you pull here. Maybe like Demonic Fortitude. Maybe like, I mean, I'm not even sure. It's very, very hard to find extra talent points in this tree to play things like Artifice, like Dark Fury, and other effects that I want in certain spots. I even want teachings at times in certain spots too for Felguard improved charge range. I really can't get it in this tree. It's very, very restrictive. I'm not saying it needs a complete huge overhaul, like moving everything around. Just make, you know, this 1 point, this 1 point, make these 1 points here, like that, honestly. But it's really, really hard to find any flexibility here when it comes to utility, really in most spots, because you want these defensives for pathing or defensiveness, and then you want damage node, damage node, damage node, damage node, damage node, damage node, and good utility here, right? So I think a big thing, reducing some of these points from 2 to 1 would be great and go a long way. Number 2, I'm going to change this a bit here. Burning Rush just hurts. This hurts a lot. I feel like it hurts a lot worse than it used to before we had Fiendish Stride and Dragonflight. I could be wrong, but this thing really hurts. And unfortunately, Fiendish Stride's been nerfed too much. Like, it's a 10% damage reduction. I believe it's like 40 or something like that. It's 50 actually in Dragonflight. 50 to 10 from, you know, like being 2 ranks to 1 is just too much. Burning Rush really hurts. I don't even want to turn it on half the time. I just waddle around like this. I'm so slow, but it hurts so bad on most fights progression-wise. Bumping up Fiendish Stride to like 25, even like 30 at rank 1 will go a long way for Burning Rush. It hurts incredibly. You can even remove the speed increase here. Nobody cares. 50 is fine. We don't need 70. Make it 0 movement speed increase and make it 30%, something like that. It just hurts so bad. And it feels really awkward because we're already pretty slow in general. That's mostly after the class tree. Soul Conduit was changed. It is 10% for Demonology and Affliction and Destruction. Demonology has 5% here still, which I think is fine. I've heard some mixed feedback on that, where we're overcapping on shards and things. I'm not overcapping very much, but either way, whether you're overcapping or not, a 5% node here is just too low, I think, overall for Destro and Aff. That's been changed. I think it's good. Play how you want, but that's that. So I want to move on to Demonology here, and we're going to hit more on hero talents today than we have in the past. We've hit briefly on Umbra Blaze positioning here, like being like this, basically. They have indeed, you can see here, not really changed it much at all. I wouldn't mind seeing Pact here, Umbra Blaze down here, but I think some of the bigger things when it comes to Demonology aren't really based around Umbra Blaze and Pact the Antmother. They have indeed fixed the Houndmaster's Gambit bug, which is very nice. To a similar extent, this has also been fixed. This has been fixed, Foulmouth, and Houndmaster's Gambit, right? Yeah, there we go. These are both working, and it has led to a significant increase when it comes to overall dog value. Whether it's purple dog, red dog, they do a lot of damage, and it feels pretty good. So good to see, solid fix there. All of the above. Saxel's being up here, also very strong. It feels like I definitely want to take this talent now. I wanted it in general before, but being a capstone is very awkward. Up here feels really good. Now, the thing I want to hit on here, I've hit on it before. I'm going to skip this dog stuff here. I talked about it a million times, but two things, well, I guess three things here. Really want to drive home the potential change to Fiendish Ablation, giving you a demonic core whenever you cast your Grimoire Felguard, and not whenever it expires. Whenever, I mean, I can even show you here, like whenever I'm in combat doing things, right? Let's say I'm in combat, I don't have these two cores here, but I'm setting up pets, doing whatever, I'm casting my Grimoire here, pets are going in. I'm going to cycle through my Tyrant, but the thing is, when all my pets expire, like when my Tyrant expires, I've got basically 4 dogs expiring, I've got like 10, 12 imps expiring, my Grimoire expiring, also giving me a core back. I have so many pets expiring that, I mean, realistically, even with, I don't have my Felguard out, realistically, even with core gen being a bit awkward, I have so many pets ending in 10 seconds here. This core from Felguard feels like it's, I wouldn't say bloat, but close to being bloat-ish. There's just so much going on. My pets are all expiring basically now. There go a set of dogs. I'm casting dogs in here. Here go all my imps. I have 3 cores. Let's dump some cores here. Trying a dump. It just feels like it's sort of, I wouldn't say bloated, but not like optimal. But making this give you a core whenever you cast your Grimoire would make every big Tyrant setup easier, more fluid. And playing a lot of M+ lately with Tyrant and things on beta, having to cast your purple and red dog, while I like the ability a lot, I'm not saying don't play it, definitely play it, Tyrant setup feels very slow. I'm casting Fahard, I'm casting Dreadstalkers, casting Grimoire, casting 10 imps or whatever, and it's finally rolling 10 seconds later and the pack's half dead. Now, I'm not saying it's not gonna like change the world here by making it, you know, give you a core when you're playing on Fiendish Ablation, but like it'll make things smoother, more consistent, and also like it leads to not having this excess core bloat when all my pets are expiring, Tyrant's ending, whether it's in rating or Mythic Plus. That's a bit of a concern for me. Fluidity, especially with dogs not guaranteeing cores anymore. There is that. A bit of a tuning thing here. Also, when it comes to things like Guillotine, Immutable Hatred, and core-based abilities. I hit on it here a bit. I think somewhere up here. Hatred and Demonic Cores. Whether it's like baseline Doom, which has sort of been okay because you have like reductions here through Doom Eternal, all that kind of stuff. But Hatred just feels really bad. The damage is exceptionally subpar. And it's just not really good. Because we have less cores. It likely needs a pretty significant bump up in damage to be relevant. At this point, it's just not very strong, and pathing through one of these abilities here also feels very awkward when I can just play dog amps to amp my dogs even more. This build's been good in single target. I've enjoyed it. I feel no reason to go through here at all. Talking about our Felguard and things, our tier bonus. So our 4-piece currently buffs Legion Strike by 300%. It likely needs to be about 1,000%. It needs to be much, 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 much higher than what it currently is. I mean, I can open up here and show you what Strike does. But essentially, Legion Strike being a 300% buff amounts to like I think it's like a 2.5% increase overall for a 4-piece. It's very, very low. Now, when it comes to like AoE, you might want to have a 1,000% increase to Legion Strike. Maybe, you know, tweak it a bit where it's like maybe 500% in AoE if it cleaves multiple mobs. But if it's in single target, it likely needs a pretty big increase because its damage is exceptionally low. And it's probably one of, if not the lowest 4-piece currently in game, I would assume, being like a 2% increase. It needs some help. So hopefully tuning comes to that at some point in the near future. Now, I do want to talk about Diabolus cycling. This has not been fixed yet, and haven't really seen it in many places, but I think it needs some serious attention here. So, I'm not sure a pet I have queued up here when it's Diabolus, but I was hitting this dummy a minute ago, right? I left combat, ran outside, came back in here. I'm going to hit this dummy and see what pet is queued up first. The way it should cycle, it's consistent cyclical nature, where it should always be Overfiend into Mother of Chaos, or sorry, Overlord into Mother of Chaos into Pit Lord. I don't know what I'm going to summon here. We're going to find out. What is the first summon? The first summon is a Mother of Chaos, so second pet here. Now, if I gained this by entering combat, spawning this ritual, leaving combat twice through Overlord and then through Mother of Chaos, I could walk in here and my first summon would trigger would be the Pit Lord. Ruination is much stronger than Mother of Chaos's ability, Infernal Bolt, and much stronger than Overlord's ability, empowering your pets. Plus, Ruination gives you 3 free imps whenever you cast it. It doesn't consume shards whenever you cast the ability. So, being able to do that, essentially like cheesing your cyclical nature of Diabolus, can give you a much larger Tyrant on pull, getting 3 to 4 extra imps to your Tyrant, plus you're playing Pact of the Imp Mother, that can mean even more imps proccing off Ruination or the hand afterwards, and it can give you larger Tyrants with Reign of Tyranny, because ROT gives you 15 imps down through your Tyrant, which is probably a problem in itself, max extension, and not 10. This needs to be fixed. If it's not fixed, you very well may see it being gamed in a lot of raid settings where bosses are going to be pulled and reset twice really fast to queue the Pit Lord up if Demo ends up being worthwhile. Probably in raid settings, needs to be fixed. In dungeons, doesn't matter. But in raid settings, or whenever you die, you should probably reset. Currently, not resetting on boss resets, or if you die. If I died now and came back, it spawned Pit Lord. So that also needs to be looked at. Now, the last thing here I want to hit on, I can think of at least, for Demonology, is the recent change to Soul Harvester. So they've changed Soul Harvester. It essentially gives you 3 shards. It's old Baleful Invocation, whatever it's called down here when Tyrant give you shards and you cast it. It gives you 3 shards, and they're guaranteed to be Succulent Souls. Succulent Souls are empowered souls, essentially, through your Demonic Soul. It increases the damage ability by 20%, being Hand of Gul'dan, and it summons your Demonic dude to do damage. Now, the problem is that the ability it empowers is Hand of Gul'dan. Hand of Gul'dan is a very low portion of our damage. For Affliction, Soul Harvester empowers Malefic Rapture by 20%. For Demonology, it is Hand of Gul'dan. To just compare here, Diabolus also has Touch of Rancora, giving you basically a 100% increase to Hand of Gul'dan, and also Gloom of Nathriza, further increasing Hand of Gul'dan damage. Even with this being a thing, Diabolus does like 3 times the amount of damage with Hand of Gul'dan in a single target that Soul Harvester does. There needs to be a substantial buff, likely to Demonic Souls, like Hand of Gul'dan damage increase, if they want to keep it that way for Demonology, or change it to buff other abilities. What other ability exactly? I don't know. Please not Shadow Bolt. Please not Shadow Bolt. But maybe have it empower your pets. Something like what we had maybe something like what we had in Aberrus a bit, where it empowers your pets if it comes out, or empowers the Hand of Gul'dan, or whatever spell you cast that consumes a shard. But when I say empower Hand of Gul'dan, empower the imps from the Hand of Gul'dan. Something along those lines, because it feels like it feels like Hand of Gul'dan is just not worth it at all to be empowered. Like, the damage it does is just, it's negligible. Doesn't really do much at all. We've had a good bit of procs here as well, and Hand of Gul'dan is sitting, let's see, cast Purple Dog here. Hand of Gul'dan is sitting, I can't even see it here. Let's pull it up. At a whopping 4.3%, 4.7. Cast a hand here again. It will now be a whopping 4.7 again. Diabolus is like up here with Hand of Gul'dan in single target. This needs a substantial buff if you want to keep it as Hand of Gul'dan. Likely making it, I'm not sure, another ability. Maybe not Demon Bolt, not Shadow Bolt. Maybe have it empower whatever pet you summon with the Succulent Soul. Like, empower the dog set, empower... I'm not even sure. It's happening after your Tyrant. Empower, like, the imps from the Hand of Gul'dan. I'm really not even sure, but, like, it needs something. Hand of Gul'dan feels very, very unimpactful for this, unless you want to buff the damage on this a lot to, like, 100% for Demonic Soul, for Demonology, or for, I guess, for Succulent Souls, for Demonology compared to Affliction. But either way, needs a little bit of help there. Diabolos is the front runner by a large margin, I would say, for Demonology currently, and I don't really see that changing much, unless substantial buffs come. Oh, and I also want to mention that our our Doom Guard not volleying Shadow Bolts feels very awkward. It'd be cool to have it volley Shadow Bolts again. This is basically our tier bonus from S3 and 4. And having Doom be like a single target ability, but also like AoE based, with it exploding and doing damage around our targets, and having it amped by like Impending Doom and Doom Eternal, feels awkward, being so similar to our tier bonus from S3 and 4. It's also something a Doom Guard, but then not having it volley Shadow Bolts. AoE ability, things to build upon an AoE ability that can be used in single target, but then a pure single target ability as like the end tier capstone feels awkward. Apply the same logic like to the ability that it has on retail, where it volleys for less or single targets for more with Doom Bolts. Be super sick. People were pumped for this row when it came out, because we had season 3-4 tier bonus with like bigger Doom pieces, and they've done a good job making Doom playable and like fun. But now the Doom Guard's sort of stinks, and this row sort of Like, this row feels this feels thankfully dogs are saving us, but you know, if in doubt, turn the dogs, I guess, but we'll see where that goes. Getting into Affliction here, so there's not a crazy amount that I want to hit on for Aff. There are some things, obviously, some bugs and capstones and all that, but I don't know how much is going to change with Affliction's, here, center of the tree, if that I guess here, if that makes sense. We hit on this a good bit. The center of the tree are still a little awkward and clunky at certain points, I can say, with when it comes to like improved haunt. I like the idea behind it, but unfortunately improved haunt, just too hard to get when you're playing single target builds. This is currently what I've been playing in single target for Hellcaller. Just not really obtainable, right? I have 2 points here, 2 points here. A lot of 2-point nodes that I want to grab, things I want to take that I can't. Cunning Cruelty, probably doing too much of a single target, but even if this was nerfed, I'd play something like, I don't know, Path Through here to get Malefic Touch, something like that, right? Unfortunately, I think this needs to be changed a bit to where pathing is easier, but with time running short, I'm not sure if it's going to. But a couple of talents I do want to hit on here. Number one, hit on it last time, but it's actually Phantom Singularity and Haste Duration being based around Infirmity. So the way Singularity works, you can see here, it's 13.4 seconds, the duration of Singularity, right? If I take off some Haste gear, that will indeed increase duration-wise. 13.4, it goes to... what is it now? It's 13.5. Not much, it's a green piece of gear, but Singularity's cooldown, or sorry, duration, is reduced by the amount of haste you have. It ticks the same, but it basically ticks faster, if that makes sense. That's all been all in good for a long time. We had this problem in Avarice, and we're back to having it now when we had our tier bonus, Infirmity. Enemies damaged by PS take 10% increased damage from you for its duration. That's a cool ability, cool talent. When the ability is shorter, by stacking haste, which we want, it's an anti-synergy. We need to make Singularity a flat duration. 15 seconds, whatever it is, to be tuned properly around Infirmity with Dark Glare and Malign Omen extensions to like not to the point where we're getting PIs or Lust or whatever, or haste on us like more and more on our gear. We're getting these super short Singularities with Infirmity because you want that value, right? But the more haste you stack, it might be worthwhile, but it's almost like devaluing Infirmity in a sense, which makes things very awkward. So PS likely needs to have a set duration, no haste scaling, so on and so forth. These two bugs here, Crescendo and Succulent Souls, has indeed been fixed. They made it so Succulent Souls basically aren't free to cast anymore with the Soul Harvester change. This has been fixed as well. The Crescendo and Rapture bug hit on it last week or 2 weeks ago. It's been fixed now. So if you're casting a Rapture, it's hard to replicate in combat here, but if you're casting a Rapture and you get a TC proc, which is right here, mid-Rapture cast, it used to consume the Crescendo effect and also take a shard away from... Oh, no. It would consume the Crescendo effect whenever you finish the Rapture cast, not giving you the free Rapture. That has been fixed now. It will finish the Rapture cast and not consume the TC proc. That bug is fixed. This has been fixed indirectly in a sense. So fixed and fixed. Good to see. And that is that. And the final thing I want to hit on here in this middle of the tree, this is bugged. Didn't know until recently. Somebody pointed out to me in my guild. This is bugged. Apparently putting only 1 point in this gives you a 40% increase to Rapture. As cool as it is, realistically, like, probably just needs to be fixed. I don't know. No wonder Rapture is cranking so hard on Silken Court with 2 targets. 1 point in here gives you a 40% Rapture increase. Probably needs to look that. A couple other bugs here I want to hit on too. I'll add them to this document at some point. Both Withering Bolt and Oblivion are not gaining damage increases from Wither. Probably it's a flagging thing. They haven't flagged Wither, like Corruption's flagged to increase these. Oblivion, baseline can just be Agony, Corruption, or Wither, and Unstable Affliction. It's a max of 30%, but if you have those 3 dots active, you only gain a 20% damage amp. If you put up Wither on a target only, it doesn't give you any damage increase. It'll do the same amount of having no dots up, if only thing you have up is Wither. So Oblivion and Bolt are both bugged. Need to whitelist Wither when it comes to Hellcaller for these, and that will be a bit of an increase there and there. Probably make Oblivion pretty good in single target if you're playing Hellcaller. Cool to see. Now, when it comes to capstones, there are still some issues with capstones, I feel like, right? Sims are being worked on for AF right now. I think that it's hard to say. I love the fact they added mastery scaling to Malefic Touch. Very, very cool. This talent is solid. It's not as good as Oblivion, but it's good. It feels good to play. I like it. Very, very cool. Solid. You have a strong single target ability over here. A bit more like AoE M+ based over here. I like it a lot. Good change. Love the mastery affecting Malefic Touch thing. Unfortunately, improved Malefic Rapture is just not very strong. I believe it's a 0.6 or 1% DPS increase. I believe this is 0.6. This is like 0.6. You can never play this. And for Vanquish, as cool as it is, just is not going to be taken down here. I don't think in any setting. I think there's likely room to buff improve Malefic Rapture a bit to like maybe 10% damage increase. You can like double it, even like maybe make it 15. And like casting can probably be fine where it's at, whatever. It's a baseline for me. It's 1.3 right now for me at the end of the world. But you can buff the damage on here by probably 100, 200%. It would be okay. Not sure exactly how much you want to buff it exactly, but I mean, like, it feels pretty subpar having to path through here to go get Malefic Touch with it being such a small damage increase. To a similar extent, Ravenous Afflictions played for Soul Harvester, but not incredibly strong when it comes to just raw procs. I believe it's 1.4 procs per minute, which is not incredibly strong, even though there is Nightfall synergy here. It's just not very strong. It needs to have more, like a higher proc rate, maybe like 3 procs per minute, something like that, to make it relevant in the settings where you want it. Relinquished, as cool as it is, love shard gen. Too many options down here that you want and need. It's not going to happen up here. If it's like in this row, maybe somewhere, but it's not going to happen down here. Then Perpetual Instability, I once again, I just don't think there's a world where it's going to be played. Unless they buff this damage amount by an insane amount, like by 400%, it's not going to be played, I don't think. The cast time of UA reduction, like, it's nice, quality of life, but you're only casting UA once every 15 seconds or whatever, right? And the damage it does is extremely small. It's 160k. I mean, Oblivion does 1 million. Everything else is a lot more damage. The damage it does is super, super minuscule. And like, I'm only getting that effect essentially once every 15 seconds anyways when I refresh UA within that window, right? A great thing, I think, honestly, once again, make it Cascading Calamity. You can keep the same cast time reduction on it. You can make it with 8 or less seconds on it. You can refresh UA with it up. You get a haste effect. That would be great. It's a maintenance buff, sort of like Dread Touch, but like 3 times the duration. It would make AF feel better, have more hasted effects. Haste works well with AF for a million different reasons. It would feel really good. It almost be like the glue that could hold AF together. It already feels good. It's already held together pretty well, but like, it'd be like, great. It feels good, and now it feels even better with Cascading Calamity. And you definitely play this talent on here, but unfortunately, with it being like this, it's never going to be played, I don't think, unless you buff the damage a crazy amount to where it's almost OP. That's Embrace, played in certain fights, that's that. But yeah, for the most part, I believe it's all the AF stuff I want to hit on. Oh, yeah, Soul Harvester's bugged when it comes to like Demonic Soul stuff. It's giving you 5 shards whenever you cast your Soul Rot here. Basically, and not 3. I'm down for 5 shards, feels great, but realistically, it needs to be fixed. To show it briefly, I am Soul Harvester. I will Rapture to 0 shards. I will cast Soul Rot, and bam. There we go. That's bugged. But I will say Soul Harvest, it feels pretty good for AF, I think, overall, with the changes. The Shardy funds to AF, compared to Demonology, feel much more impactful for Affliction. And it gives you a bit more leeway to play on your tier bonus, being a bit more aggressive with Raptures outside of these Rapture windows here, trying to fish for tier bonus procs, so on and so forth. I believe that's all I have for AF for the most part. Let's look briefly at Destro. This may be the shortest part of the video when it comes to Destro stuff, because honestly, it's not that Destro doesn't have any things to hit on. It's just sort of that we've hit on Destro's things for the most part, a good bit, and like, it probably is not going to change. But there are a couple new things I want to hit on. So Destro here, Kata and Inferno, hit it on a million times. Probably not going to happen, but it's wishful thinking. I do think when it comes to this row here, having Havoc connect Scalding Flames and Indiscriminate Flames is actually pretty important. There are a handful of fights where I don't necessarily want Cataclysm, but I want, or I don't want to path through Cataclysm or Pyrogenics to get Scalding Flames, like I want Havoc, but I gotta do this weird pathing around like here and here to get down here. Silken Court, at times I want Kata, at times I don't. Probably wouldn't even play it. Maybe I would, I don't know. But like getting Rain of Fire, sure, that's good. AoE, I'll take it, it is what it is. But I don't always need Kata, but I have to path through here to get down the Scalding Flames. And no one's pathing through here. This talent's never, it's not good, right? But putting connection nodes here, similar to like what Infernal did to Eradication and this node here, probably needs to happen, because it feels very awkward having to go through here to get down the Scalding Flames. Also, making this pathing could be like, you can just go Cataclysm, or Conflict Rate, Rain of Fire into like Havoc, pathing into Scalding Flames, pathing into Indiscriminate Flames, skipping over Kata, skipping over this, and just freeing up a point, making things flow a little better. Freeing up a point also, possibly, for rolling Havoc, rolling Havoc, and also being able to path into here. Essentially turning this point in Kata, which I might always want, into a roll 100 point, which is, you know, pretty solid. Would be a nice change there. Hopefully get to see where that goes. While we're hitting on Rolling Havoc, I want to hit on Rolling Havoc and Flashpoint. I think these talents could use some buffs. They're both in like their rank 1 out of 2 forms from retail. Rolling Havoc being a 1% increase to your damage for 6 seconds. It does stack 5 times for a 5% increase, but it only happens during your Havoc window. And at the same time, we've also lost Pandemonium. I think it's Pandemonium, the longer Havoc talent below it here in what we're within. So you can't even extend Rolling Havoc for as long as you could on retail currently. Making this 2% per stack, like it is at rank 2 on retail, I think it's more than fine. You have shorter Havocs overall. It will make Rolling Havoc feel more impactful, doubling the effect. Because in certain fights where I do get Havoc cleave, I don't even know if I want Rolling Havoc. It's just a pretty minuscule increase and likely not worth it, because I can't really hit that 5 stack count and maintain it for as long with Havoc being baseline 12 seconds now. Making it 2% would be great to see. To a similar extent, Flashpoint, I wouldn't mind 4% per stack. 3 would be okay. I think 4 probably more than fine. I'm not even playing Flashpoint at the time anymore, because like I can proc it through Seeds of Their Demise, and honestly, like even in AoE, I'm not playing it all the time anymore because it procs through here. And like, while it is nice to get early on, going to a pack, putting a Kata down, it's sort of like I can path elsewhere, and 6% haste is not like a huge thing, but 12%, like it is currently on retail at rank 2 out of 2, making it that at rank 1, that would likely be worthwhile. But 6, whether it's, you know, single target cleave fights or AoE, just feels sort of subpar, both due to like how low it is and also getting it through here passively. So, you know, that is sort of that. Pulling up the actual feedback here again, Rifts, they need to be buffed a bunch. Best just tuning stuff probably happen at some point. When it comes to Malevolence, we talked about it a good bit with Hellcaller. A couple things with Hellcaller here as well. Being on the GCD feels a bit awkward for an ability that you want to hit and just go. They cut the haste in half from 15 to 8, but you want to hit your ability, like your Dark Soul-esque ability, hit your cooldowns to start cranking. Havoc being on the GCD feels awkward in the first place. This feels even more awkward. Because like, cool, if I'm going into Havoc Cleave, it's like, all right, cool. Put up my things, whatever. Trinket Malevolence. Havoc. Now begin. That's so clunky. It feels so slow, right? You can sequence it differently there either way, but it feels very awkward. Getting it off the GCD if possible would be really sick and help a lot with like just overall fluidity during cooldowns as destruction. Now, I want to hit on Black and Soul here as well. I've seen it mentioned a bit in the forums, and there's sort of a point also. So Black and Soul and like Malevolence was changed. I guess more so Malevolence. Malevolence now says spending soul shards. It used to be, I'm pretty sure it was just Chaos Bolt. It wasn't like Rain of Fire or Shadow Burn. But in general, spending soul shards for Malevolence and just Black and Soul in general, whenever you spend them for Black and Soul, spending soul shards and damaging spells will further corrupt enemies affected by Wither, increasing its stat count by 1. Now, like in single target, Destro, Chaos Bolt takes 2 shards. You're not gaining 2 shards or 2 stacks of Wither by casting Chaos Bolt with Black and Soul. You're gaining 1. Aff has Rapture. Rapture is 1 shard. Rapture is 1 shard in single target, as well as AoE. Seed is 1 shard if you ever spend 1 for putting up corruptions. But when it comes to Destro, you've got Rain of Fire being 3, possibly 2 if you're playing Inferno. But 3 shards and 2 shards from Chaos Bolt. No one's ever hitting Shadowburn. Let's be honest here. This road's sort of awkward. Maybe like a bit of like tweaking and tuning here to possibly give you 2 stacks of Wither by casting Chaos Bolt. 3 for Rain of Fire might be a bit much, but because of Rain of Fire spam. But like maybe adding a stack count of 2 whenever Destro spends shards, possibly, or Chaos Bolt could be a thing. Because it feels a bit awkward for Aff having Rapture versus Destro having Chaos Bolt, but at the same time, Destro often casts Chaos Bolts a bit more frequently outside of like Rapture windows, a bit more consistently, I should say. A bit more consistently. So, wanted to point it out. Not sure if it's a huge deal either way, but I think it is worth mentioning. And the final thing here for Destro that I really want to hit on is this. Gloom of Nathriza, whatever it's called. This is an awkward talent that likely needs to be changed. Now, I think Hellcaller is the play for Destro currently, but enemies marked by your Havoc take 5% increased damage from your single target spells. So, the problem is that, you can play Mayhem here. Mayhem used to proc in single target. It doesn't proc in single target anymore. Now, you can play Havoc, but Havoc is awkward to put up in single target, likely not worth the 5% increase here, and also on the GCD. If you're not in a cleave-based setting, this talent just feels really, it's essentially dead, and it feels really, really awkward. Even if it was worth the gain in single target, it'd be pretty minuscule, and I don't want to be casting Havoc in single target. In cleave settings, sure. If there's some way to make this like a smart ability where like it works some way in single target, like I'm not even sure how you do it, but amplify a different spell in single target, but also have the Havoc like clause on here. You can even leave this clause on here, just put another passive on it, make it like Chaos Bolt damage increase by 10%. Something that's like relevant in single target, maybe, I don't know. Make it like Focus Chaos. Chaos Bolt hits 1 target, it does 10% more damage. Sure, why not? And you can leave the second part here. Instead, if you're hitting enemies marked by Havoc, it does 5% more. That's great. But in its current form, it's really awkward. It just feels like dead in single target. I don't really know how to adjust that or handle that or really anything. So hopefully I get looked at some point. But besides that, there's the basic stuff of like Kata and Inferno, which, let's be honest, it would have happened. It was going to happen. I want it to happen. It's probably not. But that's basically it. I did not update this feedback yet, text-wise for new things. I'll do it tonight, tomorrow. But in general, that's it. We're getting close to beta ending, guys. We got a month and a half left to launch, and testing's over. We'll see where it goes. Maybe they schedule more, but honestly, at this point, likely more numerical tuning and things. And I guess that's sort of that. Yeah. Oh, I guess one final thing I forgot to hit on. Just to show, my Dark Pack is healing me for 10,000 health. I have 5 million health. It's healing me through Zevram's Resilience. We need to buff this. Like, 10,000 health is like if this roach farted on me. The 10k, it's just like a placeholder value, I would venture to guess. It needs to be buffed. I don't know what you want to do here, but like, when I can heal for 10,000 health every 1 second while my Dark Pack is active, or I can go, for example, there are other talents here as well. If I can go like Soul Harvester and gain a 50% additional sacrifice shield whenever I pop Dark Soul, Dark Pack to show you here, equates to about 3.5 million health. The baseline shield's 2.4, just to clarify. please buff Zevram's resilience. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. It wraps it up. Hopefully, we hit on some important points of feedback. At least y'all hopefully feel that way. Heading into the later stages of beta, I think Warlock overall is pretty fun to play. I think movement is a bit of a concern, looking at how testing has been in Nearby Palace and things. We'll see where that goes, but I think it feels fun to play when you're actually casting, doing things. But some interactions here and there maybe need to be looked at a little bit, some tweaking and tuning the numbers, all that kind of stuff, but that's coming the next few weeks. So what may be the best spec now? Affliction. Very well might not be tomorrow, or the day after, or an hour from now, because tuning can happen at really any point at this point. Like I mentioned at the start, Week Wars add-ons, you want them, links to Twitch and Discord down below, you can get over free. At the same time, a massive shout out to my patrons for all support on Patreon, all the time. Thank y'all a million times. I greatly appreciate all the support. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the video description. And I talked about it at the start as well, but the Tier 3 Failguard rank or higher on Patreon does indeed get early access to the War Within Beta Warlock Spreadsheet, which is now out. It'll be public regardless at some point, but if you like early access, that is how that goes. And yeah, in general, I think that, I think we can all safely say we want an Affliction Warlock tier. I wouldn't mind. It's very hard to do, but like in an optimal, I guess, world scenario, whatever, there's a handful of fights in the raid that have varying, profiles, Destro, Demo, Aff, that work towards different specs that Warlock has, which I think Nearby Palace actually has. But the question is, can we get tuning across the specs and across classes in general correct enough where you might play Aff on one fight, Destro on the other, and Demo on the next? If we can do that, that's optimal, and it's great. But if we can't, I'm going to be honest, I sort of want an Aff tier, an Aff or Destro tier. I like Demo. Demo's a lot of fun, but I play Demo for most tiers for the past 5. Its profile is good, but I wouldn't mind Aff or Destro getting a bit of playtime as well. So we'll see where it goes. But like always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you again soon on stream. Peace.